Revenge in Silence by Malicious Logic 3740. Alex sat in his car outside the cafe, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His heart felt like a weight in his chest, sinking lower with every passing second. Across the street, he watched through the window as his wife, Sarah, leaned forward, her laughter bubbling over. The man across from her mirrored her smile, his hand brushing hers lightly. Alex didn't need to hear their conversation to know this wasn't a business meeting or a friendly catch-up. He had suspected for months. The late-night texts she claimed were work-related, the sudden girls' nights out that left her phone suspiciously silent, the distance that grew between them like a canyon. Alex wanted to confront her outright, to demand the truth, but something deep inside urged patience. Instead of acting impulsively, Alex devised a plan. He wasn't the type to yell or throw accusations in a heated moment. No, his revenge would be calculated, precise, and most importantly, silent. Over the next few weeks, Alex began to gather evidence. He placed a discreet GPS tracker on her car and installed a hidden camera in their living room. What he found left no doubt. Sarah and her lover, an old flame named Jason, had been meeting regularly. Their stolen moments, filled with passion, played out before Alex like scenes from a tragic play. Rather than confront her, Alex decided to let her dig her own grave. He began withdrawing from their relationship in subtle ways, canceling dinner plans, coming home late, and acting distant. Sarah seemed to relish the newfound freedom, oblivious to the storm brewing in Alex's mind. On their anniversary, Alex made his move. He planned a romantic dinner at home, complete with candles and her favorite wine. Sarah walked into the house that evening, feigning surprise at the effort. Alex played along, pretending everything was normal. As they sat down to eat, he handed her a beautifully wrapped box. Inside was a folder containing photos, text transcripts, and detailed timelines of her infidelity. Her face turned pale as she flipped through the pages. "Happy anniversary, Sarah," Alex said, his voice calm but laced with venom. She stammered, tears welling in her eyes. "Alex, I can explain." "No need," he interrupted, standing and pushing his chair back. "I've already filed for divorce. The papers are in your email. Oh, and you'll find I've removed your name from all joint accounts. Consider it a parting gift." Sarah sobbed, begging for forgiveness, but Alex remained unmoved. He had spent too many nights drowning in sorrow, and now it was her turn. As Alex left the house that night, he didn't feel victorious, nor did he feel defeated. He simply felt free. For the first time in months, he breathed deeply, the cold night air filling his lungs with the promise of a fresh start. Revenge, he thought, didn't need to be loud or violent. Sometimes, silence was the loudest scream. Alex spent the next few weeks tying up the loose ends of his life with Sarah. True to his plan, he didn't engage in any screaming matches or drawn-out arguments. He didn't need to. His silence, his refusal to give her the emotional reaction she seemed desperate to provoke, was punishment enough. Sarah tried everything to win him back. She sent long, tearful emails and left voicemails begging for another chance. She even showed up at his workplace one afternoon, pleading with him in the parking lot. But Alex remained resolute. "You made your choice," he told her flatly. "Now you have to live with it." As much as Sarah's betrayal had broken him, Alex wasn't interested in dragging out the pain. He had learned the hard way that clinging to anger only prolonged the suffering. Instead, he focused on rebuilding his life. He sold their house, moving into a sleek apartment downtown. He poured himself into his work, taking on projects he'd once avoided and earning the respect of his colleagues. He even started going to the gym regularly, transforming the emotional weight he carried into physical strength. But it wasn't just about physical or professional growth. Alex sought peace of mind, too. He began seeing a therapist, someone who helped him unpack the hurt and betrayal. Slowly, he learned to trust again, not in others but in himself. Sarah, on the other hand, seemed to spiral. Mutual friends told Alex she'd ended things with Jason shortly after the divorce proceedings started. It seemed her fantasy of a new life had crumbled under the weight of reality. One day, Alex received a message from Jason, of all people. The man was apologetic, claiming he had no idea Sarah was still married when their affair began. He wanted to clear the air, as he put it. Alex deleted the message without replying. He had no interest in reliving the past or giving either of them any more of his time. Months turned into a year, and Alex found himself in a much better place. His life wasn't perfect, but it was his own. He had started dating again, cautiously at first, but with an open heart. One evening, while sitting on his balcony overlooking the city, Alex received an unexpected email from Sarah. It was a long letter, an apology that felt more sincere than her previous attempts. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," she wrote, "but I hope you find happiness. You deserved so much better than what I gave you." For the first time, Alex didn't feel anger or sadness when he thought about Sarah. He felt nothing. And that, he realized, was the true victory. He closed his laptop and looked out at the city lights, a quiet smile on his face. Revenge in silence, he thought, was never about causing her pain. It was about reclaiming his own life. And now he had done just that. Alex's life continued to blossom in ways he hadn't anticipated. Free from the toxic weight of his past, he discovered parts of himself he'd long neglected. He joined a local book club, began volunteering at an animal shelter, and even started taking weekend trips to explore places he'd always wanted to visit but never found the time for. Through these experiences, Alex met people who inspired him. One of them was Rachel, a kind, sharp-witted woman he met during a weekend hiking trip. She was everything Sarah wasn't: genuine, grounded, and unafraid to share her vulnerabilities. Their connection grew naturally. At first, it was just friendship, but as they spent more time together, Alex found himself drawn to her in a way he hadn't been with anyone since Sarah. Rachel wasn't perfect, and neither was he, but there was a mutual respect and honesty between them that made Alex feel safe. One evening, as they sat by a campfire during a group trip, Rachel asked him about his past. Alex hesitated, unsure if he wanted to revisit the pain of Sarah's betrayal. But he trusted Rachel, and for the first time, he shared the full story with someone. When he finished, Rachel didn't offer pity or cliché reassurances. Instead, she simply said, "It sounds like you turned something terrible into something meaningful. That takes strength." Her words stayed with Alex long after the flames of the campfire died down. Meanwhile, Sarah's life had taken a different path. She had moved to a smaller town to escape the whispers and judgment that seemed to follow her after the divorce. Jason had ghosted her, and most of her friends had distanced themselves as well. Alone, she began to reflect on the choices that had led her to this point. One day, she stumbled upon an old photo album of her and Alex. As she flipped through the pages, memories of their happier times resurfaced. She realized how much she had taken him for granted, how she had thrown away a man who had loved her deeply. But by then, it was too late. Alex had moved on, and no apology or grand gesture could undo the damage. Alex and Rachel's relationship grew stronger with time. A year after they started dating, Alex took her to his favorite spot, a quiet overlook where he often went to think. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Alex pulled a small box from his pocket. "I never thought I'd be here again," he said, his voice steady. "After everything that happened, I didn't think I could trust anyone. But you've shown me what love is supposed to be. And I don't want to spend another day without you by my side." Rachel's eyes brimmed with tears as she nodded, her smile brighter than the sunset behind her. For Alex, the moment wasn't just about finding love again. It was a testament to his resilience, to his ability to heal and rebuild. In the end, revenge wasn't about hurting Sarah or making her pay for her betrayal. His silence, his decision to walk away with dignity, had given him the greatest gift of all, the chance to write a new chapter in his life, one filled with hope, love, and peace. The engagement marked the beginning of a new chapter for Alex, one that was filled with hope and possibility. Rachel brought light and warmth into his life in a way he hadn't thought possible after Sarah's betrayal. Together, they began planning their wedding, not as a grand spectacle, but as an intimate celebration of their love. As Alex and Rachel prepared for their future, Sarah continued to grapple with her own reality. Living in the small town she had moved to, she found herself isolated and deeply reflective. For the first time, she faced the consequences of her actions without any distractions. One day, she received a package in the mail. It was a book Alex had once recommended to her during their marriage, a self-help title she'd dismissed at the time. Inside the cover, he had written a note. Asterisk, I hope this brings you clarity and peace. Everyone deserves a chance to heal. Asterisk. The gesture wasn't an olive branch. It wasn't an invitation for reconciliation. It was Alex's way of signaling that he had moved on and, perhaps, giving her the tools to do the same. Sarah read the book cover to cover, its words resonating deeply. While it didn't absolve her guilt or erase her regret, it gave her the first spark of hope she'd felt in years. Slowly, she began to rebuild her life, starting with therapy and reconnecting with estranged family members. Meanwhile, Alex and Rachel's wedding day arrived. The ceremony was held at a serene lakeside venue, surrounded by close friends and family. The vows they exchanged were simple but heartfelt, a testament to their journey and the love they had found in each other. I promise to choose you. Every day, Rachel said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. And I promise to be the partner you deserve, Alex replied. To love you not out of fear or need, but because you've shown me what love truly is. As they exchanged rings and sealed their vows with a kiss, the applause of their loved ones filled the air. But for Alex, the real celebration was internal. He had not only survived his darkest moments, but had grown stronger because of them. Years later, Alex would occasionally reflect on the path that had brought him to where he was. He never forgot Sarah or the pain she caused, but those memories no longer had power over him. Instead, they served as a reminder of his resilience and the beauty of second chances. On quiet evenings, sitting on the porch with Rachel and watching their young daughter play in the yard, Alex would smile. His journey had been painful, but it had also been transformative. Revenge, he had learned, wasn't about hurting others. It was about reclaiming yourself, finding peace, and building a life worth living. And that, in the end, was the sweetest victory of all. Years passed, and Alex's life with Rachel continued to flourish. Their daughter, Emily, grew up surrounded by love, laughter, and a sense of security that Alex had always wanted for his family. Parenthood brought challenges, of course, but they faced them together, a united team. One crisp autumn morning, as Alex dropped Emily off at school, he spotted a familiar face in the parking lot. Sarah stood there speaking to another parent. Her hair was shorter now, streaked with hints of gray, and her face carried lines that spoke of both age and experience. For a moment, their eyes met. Sarah froze, clearly uncertain how to react. Alex, however, gave her a polite nod before turning back to Emily. "Bye, Daddy," Emily chirped as she skipped off to join her friends. Alex walked back to his car, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Seeing Sarah no longer sparked the anger or sadness it once had. Instead, he felt a quiet sense of closure. That afternoon, as he sat in his home office, he received a message. It was from Sarah.
Hi, Alex.
I saw you this morning. I didn't want to intrude, but I just wanted to say how happy you looked. I hope life has been good to you. You deserve it. Alex stared at the message for a moment before replying simply.
Thank you, Sarah.
I wish you the same. He hit send and felt a weight lift from his chest. It was a small gesture, but it signified the end of a chapter that had once consumed him. Later that evening, as he recounted the encounter to Rachel, she listened with a thoughtful expression. "Do you regret anything?" she asked gently. Alex shook his head. "Not anymore. If anything, I'm grateful for how things turned out. Every choice, every mistake led me here, and I wouldn't trade this for anything." Rachel smiled, reaching across the table to take his hand. "Me neither." In the years that followed, Alex's life continued to be filled with the joys of family, personal growth, and love. He occasionally thought of Sarah, not with bitterness, but with a quiet hope that she, too, had found peace. In the end, Alex's revenge had never been about destroying someone else. It had been about building himself back up, piece by piece, into the man he always wanted to be. And in that silence, he had found his greatest strength and his greatest happiness. As Emily grew older, Alex and Rachel's bond deepened. Their life together wasn't perfect, but it was real, filled with moments of love, laughter, and even the occasional argument that ended with mutual understanding. They taught Emily the importance of honesty and trust, drawing from Alex's own experiences to instill those values. One evening, when Emily was about 12 years old, she asked a question that caught Alex off guard. "Dad, were you ever married before Mom?" Alex glanced at Rachel, who smiled softly and nodded, silently encouraging him to answer. "Yes, I was," Alex said carefully. "It was a long time ago, before I met your mom." "Why do you ask?" Emily shrugged. "I heard Grandma mention it once. She said something about you being really sad back then." Alex sighed, leaning forward to look his daughter in the eyes. "It's true. I went through a hard time, and things didn't work out in my first marriage. But that's part of life. Sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes people hurt us. What matters is how we move forward." Emily nodded thoughtfully. "So, you were sad, but now you're happy, right?" Alex smiled.
Exactly.
"I met your mom, and everything changed. Sometimes, life gives you a second chance to find what really matters." Emily grinned. "I think you did a pretty good job." Rachel chuckled and ruffled Emily's hair. "We all did." As the years rolled on, Alex occasionally crossed paths with Sarah in the community. Their interactions were polite but distant. He noticed that she seemed more at peace than she had been when their lives unraveled. Once, she approached him after a school event, where Emily and her niece had performed in the same recital. "Alex," Sarah began, her voice hesitant, "I just wanted to say thank you for the kindness you showed me, even when I didn't deserve it. It helped me more than you know." Alex regarded her for a moment, then gave her a small nod. "I'm glad you've found your way, Sarah. We all deserve a chance to heal." That brief exchange became their last. Sarah moved away not long after, starting a new chapter of her own far from the town where so much of her past lingered. Alex, meanwhile, remained fully present in the life he'd built. He watched Emily grow into a compassionate and driven young woman. He supported Rachel through her dreams, just as she had supported his. One crisp evening, as he sat on the porch with Rachel, watching the sunset, he reflected on how far he had come. His journey had been one of pain and betrayal, but also one of growth and redemption. He had learned to forgive, not just others, but himself, for the missteps and heartaches along the way. Rachel reached for his hand, and he smiled. "Thinking about something?" she asked. "Just how lucky I am," Alex replied. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "We're both lucky." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Alex closed his eyes and breathed deeply, savoring the peace that now defined his life. Revenge in silence, he realized, had never been about retaliation. It was about reclaiming his happiness, and in that, he had succeeded beyond his wildest dreams.